What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Casual Podcast. I'm Jonathan.
Guys, I'm Rob, and we have a very special guest. Guys, please welcome Angie Hill.
Angie! There she
What's
is,
up?
Chill Hill. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the Casual Podcast. We are absolutely huge fans here, Angie, and we are delighted that you're here.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I feel so special.
Good. You're a special fighter.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So I'm going to start it out. So you are a big time gamer. I am as well. I love video games, which is awesome. So prior to your career, you actually earned your bachelor's degree and were working in animation. So was there anything that motivated you to start professionally fighting?
Yeah. So when I was in school, I actually met my husband in student exchange in Japan studying animation. So that's our little like cute romantic story. But like after we graduated college, he came to live with me and we started getting fat because we were playing video games all day, eating pizza. We both had like office jobs. He worked in an art gallery. I worked at an animation studio. And I always wanted to learn how to fight since I was a kid, but I was like too like kind of chicken to do it, to actually like go to a karate class or go to a taekwondo class. So I was finally like, all right, I'm gonna do this thing. I'm gonna try out some kind of martial art. And it ended up being Muay Thai because a lot of my friends who were into like MMA and into like training themselves, they're like, oh yeah, you should do Muay Thai. It's fun. It sounds like it's what you want to do. And I was worried about getting too bulky at the time. I was like this little stick.
Get all ripped.
Like my fiance is the same way. She's like, I don't want to lift weights. I'm gonna get bulky.
Yeah. And it's so funny. But now like fit is like the new. Oh wait, let me show.
It's in, yeah.
Girl.
It's the new like skinny. So yeah. So it worked out for me now. But at the time, I was afraid of getting bulky, and I like Googled Muay Thai women, and they all look like pretty natural. None of them look like big roided out like chicks. So I was like, okay, let me try this out and see if I like it. And the first class that we did together, I threw an elbow on the pads and it landed so hard that I was just like, oh, this is the thing. And I'm like 115, like soaking wet at the time, like I was like a little skinny thing. So like to be able to generate that amount of force from my little elbow, I was just like, oh yeah, this is fun. So I ended up getting obsessed with Muay Thai. Both of us did. Now he's one of my coaches. My husband is, and yeah, I just took it all the way to the UFC.
That's amazing.
So how old were you when you first went to the first time you ever went to a gym?
I think I was 23, about to turn 24.
Wow,
so,
that's amazing.
I always call it my quarter life crisis because
Right.
I started playing drums at the same time. I was like, okay, I'm gonna learn how to play drums. I always wanted to do that, and I'm gonna learn how to fight. I always wanted to do that. And drums lasted like maybe a couple months.
The drums lasted a few months, but we're still riding the fight train.
Exactly. I didn't get like calls from the neighbors when I practiced Muay Thai.
So you started out in Muay Thai and you actually became a world champion in Muay Thai. So what was that transition like going from the Thai boxing into MMA?
It was pretty hard. Like I had always kind of dabbled in jujitsu, and it's a lot harder when you're older to find like somewhere to practice wrestling. Like usually your wrestling comes from like whatever your jujitsu instructor is teaching you as an adult. So like it took a while to get the wrestling down, but I was always like messing around with jujitsu. And every time I had a fight booked, I'd have to stop because that's the easiest way to get injured. I'd always get injured doing jujitsu or get black eyes doing jujitsu as opposed to doing Muay Thai. So finally, I like started focusing on everything. I ended up going to a gym in North Carolina just to like cinch everything together. And my coach there was the one that was like, okay, I'm gonna fly you out here. I'm gonna teach you how to wrestle and how to like put everything together. and then I'll fly you to the tryouts and get you in the UFC. So
Wow.
I was like, oh, okay, cool. But it ended up not being a great fit after I got into the UFC. But it was good to just like have that crash course and just wrestling and putting it all together, because in New York, you can get all of that in one spot. Like unless you were going to Sarah Longo's gym in Long Island, which, you know, if you're in New York City, you're like, fuck Long Island, you know? I'm not going out there. But in New York City, like proper, you have to go to like 10 different gyms just to get the right amount of
Yeah.
looks that you need to be an MMA fighter.
Right.
So I ended up going from North Carolina out to San Diego, and that's where I really started putting everything together after the show. So I still feel like I was transitioning when I was on Tough. But after the show, I ended up training with a bunch of girls who were also on the show out there at Alliance. And just being able to train with good females, especially, was a really good way for me to cinch everything together and figure out what's working, what isn't, and where I need to improve. So,
Right.
yeah.
So, you know, being that you were on the show yourself, what was the selection process like? And moreover, what was it like being on a reality TV show about fighting?
I think it was better than being on a reality TV show about like, I don't know, just
Dating.
living. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dating, yeah. I actually there's a clip somewhere out in the universe of me as, I guess, like a 20-year-old, and I went on this show called Get the Hookup. And it's like a talent slash dating show, and it was on like BT or something. And I had to like do my special talent, which at the time I drew a caricature of the guy, and then they pick whichever girl they want to date based off of what they saw. But he picked the girl with the bigger ass, but so he didn't pick me.
Of course he did.
But yeah, I much rather be on a show for fighting
Yeah.
than a show for dating. So tough was actually really fun for me, because I didn't have that much experience at the time, and I had never trained with other people from like big promotions like Strikeforce or UFC or Bellator. And so to be able to be around all these like celebrities in the sport, especially like the girls on my team, like half of them were from Invicta. And this is something that I was watching on TV thinking, man, I don't know if I'd ever be able to do MMA. And now I'm training with them. So that was like a really cool part of being on the show. And everything, like aside from the fact that I lost, everything about it was just like a really just great experience to just motivate me to go further. Like
Right.
the fact that I could hang with my teammates, even though they had been doing this forever, and I just
Right.
started, gave me a lot of hope for the future. And I got a lot of compliments from my coaches on the show as well. So it definitely pulled me out of my rut when I lost my fight to Carla in the first round. But being able to absorb the energy of like, okay, this is what fight camp is like. This is what training with professionals is like, and being able to take that back home with me was a really big part of my, I guess, transition to MMA. So it was really good for me. I think a lot of the girls who had already been in the game for a while, they had like a lot rougher time, because like people like me are in there like, yay, I'm gonna beat everyone up, and they're like, you just got here, sit down, so yeah, I think it was a little rough for the girls with more experience, but for me it was just really, really
Yeah,
fun.
who do we have on before too? That we had one of the guests who was on one of the episodes or one of the seasons of Tough too, and he just said, the personalities clashing in the house when he was on. It
Yeah,
was just like it was a lot to handle. It's like,
yeah,
and
we
especially
were
for the
all
guys, like
happy.
there's so much fucking testosterone running around.
Yeah.
Like everybody trying to
Dude, are
piss on
you
the fire hydrant.
serious? I think when it comes to drama and like bitchiness or
Oh yeah, yeah.
like yeah, people getting cagey, I think women could probably compete with the men pretty
Right.
well.
I love it.
But yeah, it was like I don't know, it was like any type of experience where you're stuck with a bunch of women in a house, like people getting angry at each other, cliques are formed.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think everyone was just happy it was over once we finally got to get out of the house, and happy we had someone else to talk to aside from some girl that you might have to fight.
All right. So speaking about fighting, let's go with like Rose Namajunas, Claudia Gadelha,
Mm,
Tisha Torres, Yan Xiaonan, Michelle Watterson. I mean, you have gone toe to toe with the greats in the strawweight division in the UFC. But
mm,
aside from the UFC, many people don't realize you're also Invicta's strawweight champion. So,
mm.
what do you see as like the big difference between the two organizations, and moreover the competition between the two organizations?
Well, I don't think it's competition. I think Invicta is very open with the fact that they're a feeder league for the UFC and other big promotions, and it's just a really good platform for women who are getting their feet wet in MMA for the first time. Like I
Mm.
think it was great. Like even though I wasn't happy that I got cut when I did get cut off of the show after losing a couple fights. I think it was really good for me because I was able to go into Invicta and just fight women who were they're still just as good, but all a lot of the talent got taken into the UFC. So I'm fighting people who are still fighting to become noticed,
Yeah.
and I think it was just a good way for me to show that I am separate from them. You know, I'm separate from the people who weren't picked up. I definitely have more potential to be great in the UFC, and it's just a matter of figuring out how to like fight, basically, like how I want to fight. And I still hadn't figured that out yet. Like uh there's so much pressure, and once you're on that big stage like the UFC, and pretty much once you get into the UFC, you have to be ready to fight the champ. Like it doesn't matter you're if
That's a
you
mind blowing statement. That
yeah,
literally,
and
that's awesome.
yeah, and it's true because it could happen. I mean, look at Weili Zhang. She had maybe two wins in the UFC before she fought Tisha, and then she got a title shot. So
Right.
um it was a really quick rise for
Yeah.
her. But at the same time, if she had said no to the title shot, like she wouldn't be where she was. Or she wouldn't be where she is right now. So really, when you're being brought in there, you have to be ready to fight the champ. I had to fight Carla, who became the champ after the show. So
Yeah.
like there you go. Like you have to be ready. And if you're not, then people are gonna take advantage of that, and you might not get that opportunity. So I feel like whenever I talk to girls coming up who are like just anxious to get on the big show, I'm like, dude, like uh enjoy the time that you have when you don't have all these eyes on you, and you could just build your confidence and just get cocky in there and just like really know yourself and know how good you are before you get to the big dogs, because like
Yeah.
they're gonna eat you up. They're gonna
Everyone's
chew
gunning
you
for
up. Yeah, everyone is the big dog from their gym, big dog from their like region, and they're all coming in. Like the greatest from every part of the world are coming into the UFC to fight each other. So you got to make sure that you know how to fight, you know what you're good at, you know your style, and you have that confidence, like that cockiness to go in there and just do what you know you can do. So I always like Invicta for that. I think it's a great place to showcase what you can do, and if you make a statement, UFC will pluck you right up, or Bellator will
you.
pluck you right up, and then you're making even more money up there. But Invicta's like really great for being one of the few regional shows that actually pay their fighters pretty well. A lot
Mm.
of them, you're making, like my first fight, I made, what was it? I made 3-3 my first pro fight. That wasn't in Invicta. It was in some like place in North Carolina, in order to get my qualifying fight to qualify to even try out for tough. I
Yep.
needed one
Right.
win. So that was my first pro fight, and it was 300 and 300.
That's
So
insane. That's
it's
Wow.
insane,
insane.
right? To
Wow.
put your body on the line for that amount. People do it for free. Like I
Right.
didn't have an
I
amateur.
mean, you can't even pay for training with that.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's literally just to say thanks for showing up. Yeah.
Well,
It's
you know
like
what
your
though?
cab fare.
Like you said, you're not the first fighter that I've talked to who said exactly what you're saying. It's like there really is no substitution for when it comes to experience. There really is no substitution for actually fighting. You know,
Yeah, that's the only way. Like even sparring is not realistic because there aren't stakes. You fight as a pro, that goes on your record, whether it's in like in the sticks in North Carolina or whether it's on in the big show, it's gonna go on your record. So there's always gonna be high stakes when you fight as a
yeah,
pro, and it takes that. It makes you get used to that fear of performing, that like performance anxiety that you can get once you get to the big lights, once you get to the UFC or wherever. So yeah, I always encourage people to fight as often as possible until one of the matchmakers notice them, and then they'll be ready to take on whoever once they get in there. And a lot of times you get brought in to lose. So if you're ready to win and you get brought in and you get the upset, then that's just your career about to take off right there.
you got it.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Um, okay, so prior to your rematch with Tisha Torres at UFC 256, you actually tested positive for COVID-19. So can you tell us what that experience was like and just how well you've recovered from it?
It sucked to like go through a whole fight camp, and
Right.
then it was literally the Saturday before I was gonna head to Vegas. They send you the pre-test, and that's so you don't get on the plane and fly out there and then test positive and contaminate their whole bubble or whatever.
Right.
So I took the pre-test, and like 2 days later, I got sick. And I'm like, oh no. And then like I
Wow.
hit up my coach. I was like, hey, I don't think I should come into training tonight. And it was weird because it like I had literally trained that morning and that afternoon, and I was gonna do one more session just to like, have like a nice hard day. And right before I got home, I was just like, oh man, something's up. And I hit up my coach, and then like literally like that night, like a few hours later, I was like curled up on the couch, just like, oh man, I'm really sick. And usually I get sick during fight camp just because we're working really hard and our bodies are stressed out, just trying to like get your muscles to recover or whatever. So part
Right.
of me was like, okay, maybe I'm just sick, and maybe it's gonna be like one of those 24-hour flus or whatever. But I ended up getting the call right as I was recovering. So like around that Saturday or Sunday or whatever, I got the call that I tested positive and I can't fight. So it sucks because I was recovering. Any normal situation where I got that sick and started recovering, I would have still fought that next weekend. But unfortunately, because it was COVID, I couldn't fight. But I was happy that I was able to recover so fast. I know a lot of fighters have been just really messed up, like Kazmat Chimaev,
Yeah, I heard
who's supposed to
he can't
fight.
train. Yeah.
Yeah, he can't train. He's like still like messed up. Like his lungs are messed up from what COVID did to him. And I think
Wow.
who else was it? Cody Garbrandt too. He was
Yeah.
really feeling the effects. So I was pretty much back to normal after a couple of days, but because
That's
my
good.
fight got what do you call it, canceled, I was just stuck at home, trying not to contaminate anyone else.
Yeah.
So yeah, it sucked. Me and my husband both got it, so we were both at home just ordering Uber Eats and and training in the garage just to see
Playing
if I
video
could
games.
still train and playing video games and eating pizza and
Right.
getting fat. Yeah, a
All
little
right.
bit of deja vu. Yeah, so
So, all right. So aside from being a badass in the ring, like, and I told Rob this, I find you to be absolutely hysterical. I do the
thanks.
acting world, and I find you just like you're a fucking riot. Your Donald
Yeah.
Trump impersonation, the
The
clapback
best.
you did at Stephen A. Smith, like it was amazing. So eventually, when you hang the gloves up, I mean, can fans potentially see you transition to maybe a career in acting or comedy?
Man, I would love that. If you could endorse me like that, when I hang it up, I will be good to go.
Awesome.
Yeah, I've always wanted to, since I realized I had a knack for it. Like, it's funny because when I was in college, I hated being in front of the camera. I hated anything where I had to like be like, "Hey, it's me." But I don't know. I think after tough and just having to do so many interviews and just play up however I was feeling or be really descriptive and that kind of thing. I guess I started getting a knack for being in front of the camera, and yeah, it's fun. Like I always take have taken myself like not too seriously.
You're
Like I always
hilarious. You are
thanks.
absolutely hilarious.
Thank you. Yay. Yeah, I love making people laugh, and that's what I try to use my social media for. Like I think if I was just taking selfies all day and butt photos, then I would probably, like, I don't know, not feel like I was being genuine to my character. So I
Right.
try to do things in a funny way. Like I'll still do a selfie and a butt photo, but I'll try to like put a stupid caption in there or something like that.
Right.
But
It's
yeah.
just super refreshing because a lot of the fighters, like, they put on this tough facade and they really don't let people get a peek behind the curtain, and they're just
Yeah.
like they're constantly wearing the suit of armor. So when you see someone out there who, like you said, doesn't take themselves that seriously and can make people laugh, I find it to be a breath of fresh air. So thank you
Yeah,
for
for sure.
Hey, thank
Yeah.
you. Thanks, man. Oh, you made my day.
So your last fight against Michelle Watterson was a true war. You were the first African American female to headline a UFC event. You were also awarded Fight of the Night, and you are just a role model to so many people. Do you have any advice for all the young fans who look up to you and maybe be considering following your footsteps?
Yeah. My advice would be to follow your heart. Um, if you think it's too hard, then stop. Because the sport is really brutal and unforgiving, and I see a lot of people get stuck in it, and they don't really feel like they don't really feel the passion anymore. And it's just such a hard thing to make yourself do if you're not passionate. So fortunately, I've never had that issue. I've always been like, if I drop a fight, I'm like back in the gym the next day trying to work on what went wrong, and still excited about improving and learning new techniques. And I think that's the best sign that you're doing what you want. If you're
Right.
excited about learning more about it, if you're doing extra credit, if you're thinking about it at night, like those are the signs that you're doing something that makes you happy, and you're doing something that you want to do for the rest of your life. So I think that's my advice to anyone who may not even want to follow in my footsteps, but just like me as a person, or think that I seem happy in life.
Right.
That's why, because I've just been following my passion, and I went from being an art school kid to being a fighter. So like that whole time I was just following what was making me happy at the moment. And I don't know. I think just not being afraid to do too much as well. Like
Yeah.
don't feel like you're overdoing something just because you're really into it. Like if you're watching fights all the time and you're like studying, you're taking notes, you have a huge binder of like jujitsu moves that you learn, like don't be afraid of that. Embrace it. Embrace that obsession, because that's what's gonna put you ahead of the rest of your peers. So yeah, I think yeah, that, and don't quit. If
That's
you like
awesome.
something enough, and you're determined, that you're good at it, that you can be better, like just don't quit. Because there are a lot of moments that I've thought about quitting, or at least thought like maybe maybe the universe is trying to tell me not to do this anymore. But when my heart is telling me to keep going, then I keep going. And I think just listening to that inner monologue and not letting failures or setbacks stop you from your ultimate goal, like uh yeah, that's the most important thing.
Well,
I moved to LA when I was 22 years old out of theater school, and
Ah,
I said the same thing. I was like, I'm not going back home. And I
yeah,
said, every time someone quits, every time someone moves back home out of LA, that's just one less actor I'm competing with, you know?
exactly,
And it's just like,
exactly.
yeah, I feel you, Angie Hill. I feel you.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so you are currently the number 12 ranked strawweight in the world.
Okay.
Now, of everyone you have faced, who is the one fighter you would love to run it back with?
Man, there's so many. I have to think which one's the highest
Right.
ranked. Yeah, really anyone. Like I was actually really upset with the Tisha fight not coming through because that was like my first kind of a screw up that I felt like I had in my MMA career. That and the Carla fight, but that one it didn't really count to me because I felt like we weren't on the same level yet. She had so much more experience than me. But with the Tisha fight, I felt like that was totally a fight that I could have won if I had the right strategy, and I just didn't. So that's a fight that I was really excited about running back. And unfortunately, it didn't happen because of COVID. But now I'm seeing
You ready?
that
You
this
ready?
girl, well, no, I'm ready, but this girl would rather sit out for half a year than fight me. So
Really?
I'm like, okay, she's scared for a reason.
Right.
That gives me a little I don't know, a little feeling myself action right there.
That a girl.
But at the same time, I'm like, bitch, let me fight you. So
Right.
so that's definitely one I'd love to run back. But yeah, all of them I would love to rematch Andrade as well. She's been going crazy on people recently, and
Yeah.
I think I could still stand and bang with her and maybe drop her. So like I'd love to run that one back as well. And yeah, I'm just trying to rack up some more wins, get rid of these two weird decisions and start
Right.
finishing people. I think that's all I'm really concerned about with the next fight.
Yeah, that's what your last two fights came down to a split decision, and a lot of people actually thought you won those fights. So is there anything that you've learned from those decisions? And also, I wanted to get your take on, is there anything that could improve the way MMA judges score rounds or just improve MMA judges in general?
Yeah. Well, firstly, with those decisions, I've just become more determined to work on my grappling, work on my wrestling, and use that as more offensively. Like I've always worked on it, like for counter wrestling or defending takedowns, defending submissions, but I've never approached a fight where I'm like, okay, the game plan is to hit her and take her down.
Right.
So that's what I've been working on. Shh, don't tell nobody. That's what I've been working on from that fight because if you look at a strawweight fight statistically, most finishes come from submission, and um, and most decisions favor the grappler.
Mhm.
So I don't want to become a grappler, but I feel like if I could blend everything, then that's going to make for a much more dominant fight. If I'm schooling someone in the striking, a lot of times the judges can't see that. A lot of times they're
Right.
thinking that me slipping a punch is me reacting to a punch. And we're so fast. We're like the flyweight, like the men's flyweight division. We're so fast that a lot of times you're looking at it and you're like, whoa, this fight is crazy, but you don't actually see what's happening.
Right.
So I feel like that adding that grappling component to it, it makes it really obvious. Like I'm on top of them, I'm hitting them, I'm winning. So I think that that's like a big part of what I learned from the last two fights is okay, they for whatever reason the judges favored the grappler in those two fights. I'm gonna start making it so I'm not only winning the striking exchanges but the grappling exchanges
Yeah.
by initiating them. And I feel like that's going to really put me ahead and start opening up my fights for more finishes as well.
Right.
And when it comes to judging, I think that there should be more draw rounds. And you see it in a lot of high profile fights like John Jones versus Reyes, Max Holloway versus Volkanovski. There were a lot of very razor thin close rounds that one fighter edged out, and then there were some dominant rounds and they all score the same. So
Right.
you could have like Max Holloway came out strong against Volkanovski. He got 10, 10, 9, 10, 9 in the first two rounds. then the next 3 rounds were practically draw rounds.
Right.
But Volkanovski got the last 3 rounds on the judges' scorecard. So if those rounds were draw rounds instead of flipping a coin and picking a winner of the round, then Max would have won. And I
Wow.
feel like that would be a really easy way to get better judging, is just to encourage draw rounds. Like if there was no clear winner, don't just pick one. And a lot of times that's what they do. They just pick a random winner. And
Exactly.
I don't think that would help my fight, my last 2 fights. I think they were just like, you lost, like I don't think they thought it was that close.
They were.
Maybe the
For the
Michelle
record, they
fight.
were.
No, I thought they were. Yeah, for sure. I
Yeah,
thought you won
yeah.
those two.
I don't know. I think the judges are sleeping half the time.
Yeah.
But also a guy next to them to poke him with a stick to make sure
To
they're
wake 'em
awake.
up.
Yeah, to stay awake.
Just like
The draw rounds, that's so smart. I know I never really considered that. And it's never really been done. And like just the Joanna Zhang Willie, me and Jonathan were texting back and forth, and they were going into the 5th round, and I was like, honestly, I have no idea who's winning. And to be honest, I mean, a judge could have ruled it, 10-9, 10-9 for one person because it's maybe they're biased in one way, but the rounds are so close, they should have been a 10-10. And I never thought of that. That's a really good idea.
And there is a lot of bias in MMA judging, just because there are people who train with some people. There are people
Right.
who have just been friends with certain gyms for a long time. So I think it would be impossible. Like it would be impossible for me to judge one of my teammates in an unbiased way, because I'm always going to see what my teammate is doing well better than what their opponent is. So
Exactly.
I don't know how you fix that. Like I don't think there's a way, unless you, I don't know, just look at all the fights that they fucked up and just be like, okay, you're fired. But
Yeah, you're out.
they're not gonna do that. They're not gonna do that. I don't think we're gonna do that. So I feel like draw rounds would be the easiest fix, just to I don't know, just to give the judges more options than just, hey, who won? You got to pick now. Because I tried to do. There's this thing called what is it called? Senate scoring on, and it's where like they pick like a group of people who did MMA before, or who are doing MMA, a group of fighters or whatever, and they have them judge each round live. And it was actually really hard sometimes, because I'm like, damn, like I feel like both of those guys did enough to win the round. So
Exactly.
I feel like the easiest way was to just give out draws, draws like crazy,
that's a
because
great device,
unless
too.
someone just dominates, then it's really hard to pick.
It's an easy fix too, like you said. So yeah, it's really smart.
I think so.
I never thought of that.
I've been
all right,
thinking about it a lot.
Hill, when it is all said and done, you are a woman of amazing character, and your ferocity inside of the octagon is top shelf. So, how does Angie Overkill Hill want to be remembered as an MMA fighter?
Yeah, that was I remember reading that one. I was like, how do I want to be remembered? I don't know. I think I just want to be remembered as a good champion. I don't want to be one of those like, I'm mean, I mean, everyone bow down to me. Like I want to be like a fun champion, a good champion, but also recognized for all the hard work that I've done to get to where I've gotten. I love for people to remember just all the hardships that I had to deal with in my career, all the ups and downs, and just use it as inspiration. Like, hey, never give up. Keep working for your goals, because eventually you'll get there. Like eventually, like you said, everyone else will quit. And then who's left to reap the benefits? Me. So I think it would be great to be remembered as just like an inspiring figure, and someone that people can look up to and know, like, as long as you don't quit what you're doing, as long as you're passionate about it, then eventually it'll work out for you.
I love it. Well, Angela, that is the last question we have. However, this is our favorite part of the interview. We always surprise our fighters. Some fighters have gone 3 rounds, some fighters have gone 5 rounds. This is a little game we like to play called 10 Rounds with Rob and Jonathan.
Oh no.
These are quick fire answers, and they're very serious. So,
Very
Andy
serious.
Overkill Hill, are you ready to play Fast 10 with Rob and Jonathan?
I don't know.
All right,
Sure.
here we go.
Got this.
Question one. What is your favorite old school video game console?
Oh, Famicom. I'm going fancy on you guys. It's
What
the
is it?
I've never even heard of that.
Famicom. It's
Never
the
heard of it.
original Nintendo, but it came out only in Japan. And the reason
Damn.
I like it, I have one if you want to see it. But the reason the reason I like it is because it looks so old school. It's like tan and burgundy, and the controller slot into the sides. It's really cool. You should
Almost like a
look it
Nintendo
up.
Switch kind of thing?
Damn.
Almost, yeah, but it's still a console. Like it's the same size as the original like NES,
Yeah.
but it's burgundy and like the little controller slot in the
super cool.
side. It's cool. It's really cool.
That's awesome. Okay, so would you rather be able to talk with animals or speak all foreign languages?
Oh man, talk with animals.
Yes,
best.
that's what I was hoping you'd say.
Yeah, because
You know,
like
foreign languages.
yeah, I can speak all the animal languages.
Right. All right. What was the best costume you've ever dressed up in?
Man, probably the Fallout 4 Vault Dweller.
Oh,
costume.
yeah.
Nice,
For
yeah.
Invicta. It was my first one, and I think it was. The reason it's so good because I made a Pip Boy out of foam.
Oh, yeah, the
And
gauntlet or the
yeah,
yeah.
the little like guy here, and then I made a little slot, and I could slide my phone in it, and then pull up the Pip Boy app, so it looked like it was on.
Oh,
And,
that's so cool.
and I had that, and I made a jumpsuit and everything. It was really cool. I was really proud of myself.
Awesome. All right. If you had full control over making a movie, what would be the genre?
Ooh. Probably horror comedy.
Yeah.
Nice.
Horror comedy, yeah. Like scary but still funny.
A feel-good thriller.
Yeah, exactly. One you want a series of.
All right. Would you rather be able to fly or breathe underwater?
Man. Probably breathe underwater.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm scared of swimming, so that would
It's like
that would
so-
take
eliminate
away.
that.
It's like most people answer that question with what they'd love to do, like because I love like I've dreamed of flying and stuff like that, so I'd be
Oh,
like
okay.
to fly. But I've never had someone answer that question just because they want to conquer that fear, which is kind of a testament to the person you are.
Hey, that's who I can't deny it.
All right. If you could have dinner with anyone from history, who would it be?
Man. Ooh, what's her name? I think her name is Stagecoach Mary, but she was like this. She was a mail carrier, but she was like a freed slave, huge woman. She carried a shotgun,
Holy
and she
shit.
just seemed really fucking cool. And this was like back in like I think the early 1900s or late 1800s. But or no, it had to be late 1800s. I think she's a free slave, but she was just like this big woman, and she would like cuss and dress in men's clothes, and she just seemed really fucking cool. So she's like one of the last like female cowboys
Oh,
of
that's
that
rad.
era. So yeah, wait, I gotta make sure I got her name right though. I think it's Stagecoach Mary.
Yeah, I
Let's
have
see.
to look that up. Her up. I haven't heard of her. It's awesome.
Yeah, she's really cool. Yeah, Stagecoach Mary.
I
Yeah,
love it.
Cool.
she's really cool. And they it's funny because like she would hang out in the bars and everything and like cuss out the men and have shootouts all the time, and she was like a problem because women, especially black women, weren't supposed to carry themselves in that way at that time, but she was just like
Yeah.
So, yeah, she just seems
Awesome.
like a real cool character. Yeah.
All
There's
right, so
nothing
we're gonna
better
go
than
from
that. Someone that's
Stagecoach Mary.
stands up.
Yeah, Stagecoach
So
Mary.
we're gonna go from Stagecoach Mary to what is your idea of the perfect date night?
Stagecoach Mary. No. Perfect date night is I mean, shit, I'm married. I don't I don't
Right,
do
it's
date nights
over.
anymore.
That's me
But
and Melissa, my fiance. We've been together 10 years. Like date night. We're like in bed by 8:30, like watching.
yeah, right. That's perfect to me. Actually,
Uh-huh.
perfect date night because my husband, he's like a fancy like mixologist or whatever. We have a little tiki bar in the basement. So perfect date night for me is just like drinks at home, but they're fancy drinks. Maybe like a little dessert to finish off and just hanging out in the bar at
Love
home
it.
listening to music.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Um, okay. What video game would make an amazing movie?
Mm, there's so many.
I know that was kind of an open.
Yeah, there's so many. Red Dead 2,
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
Last of Us,
I
Abe's
like this.
Odyssey, I think would make a good movie.
Wait, which
Yeah.
one?
Abe's Odyssey from
I
like
don't know.
back in the day. It was
I don't
Mhm.
like
know that.
I think it was PlayStation or Super Nintendo. I think it's PlayStation game. Um
I always like. You ever Knights of the Old Republic? Good Star Wars game? No.
oh
Yeah.
yeah. Well, there's already Star Wars movies.
I know, but it's so much better. It's like
yeah, the
4,000
story.
years before. It's awesome. Yeah.
Okay, I
All right,
haven't
so
played
we have-
that yet. I gotta check
Yeah,
it
it's
out.
really, really
Questions
good.
for you,
Okay.
and then this is all wrapped up. So my final question: who is Angie Hill's celebrity crush?
Oh no! Oh man. Damn. There's man, it's so hard because like I don't crush on people anymore.
Yeah.
I'm like sexless now. I'm like, who is my celebrity crush? Man, I don't know. This is a hard one. You should have emailed me this one. This is a tough one.
It can be past or present.
Past, there were a bunch. Damn, I still can't think of any.
You only have eyes for your husband. I love it.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, I did like Bruce Willis back in the day, and he's
Oh,
bald,
yeah.
maybe,
There you go.
maybe
Bruce
that's
Willis.
why.
There we go.
Bruce
Ball,
Yeah.
ball is in.
There you go.
I did a Die Hard movie with Bruce. He was super cool.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, he
Which
was great.
one?
I was the bad guy in Live Free or Die Hard.
No way!
Yeah, it was me and Timothy Oliphant versus Bruce Willis and Justin Long. We were like that. Yeah.
That's so cool. I gotta watch it again.
Yeah, I was the
That's
hacker.
amazing.
It was like I had this like, long, shaggy hair and glasses. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that's back when Bruce was still hot.
Okay. Last one for me. If it had to be something in your bedroom, what would your zombie apocalypse weapon be?
My bedroom, man. Oh, we have a little tomahawk.
Yes.
Little tomahawk. There we go.
I love it. I love it. Well, Angie, we just want to thank you again. That's all we got for you. You are fucking awesome.
Awesome.
Thank
Yeah.
you. You guys are awesome.
Yeah,
A lot of fun.
We look forward to watching your star rise in the UFC.
Awesome.
So thank you so much for giving us some of your time, and we wish you all the best in the future. Guys, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Casual Podcast. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Rob.
And that right there, Angela Overkill Hill.
Yeah.
We will see you next time, everybody. Thank you, guys.